starting this recording. It's just an audio recording, and I'm calling it Coffee Talk. Having a coffee on the porch is my son Xavier. He's here. Say hello.
Hello.
There he is. He probably won't say much, but I want to have this little discussion. We just had the discussion about vegans, vegetarians, and people who eat meat. I mean, I guess if you say carnivore to most people, they'll be like, that sounds sort of like vulgar, almost like red meat eating carnivores. But if you say meat eater, that sounds better. What do you call them? I don't know. But either way, I'll start with vegetarians, okay? The difference between people who will eat cheese and milk and yogurt and stuff that comes from cows and chickens that doesn't necessarily come from a dead animal, okay? People who are vegan don't eat anything that comes from any living thing, even kombucha, because it has living cultures. And cultures are basically those enzymes that come from an organism that are liquids, like a milk, an egg. It isn't quite living and walking and talking, but it's got enzymes in it from a living animal that isn't pure like water or plant that comes from the ground or from the land or the lake. Okay, so a vegan only eats things that don't have organismal properties, like any kind of culture. And the reason for that is because they grow in your body very naturally, like seeds and herbs and spices and oats and grains. Let's say you cook them. Okay, I'll get away from cooking until we get to the meat part, but remember the cooking part when we get back to veganism and why you should try to eat some raw things or some dehydrated things that somehow retain nutrients and get reanimated with some kind of oxidated liquid which has oxygen, H2O. It holds oxygen. So that's why things that are dehydrated can be reoxidated with the O. So we'll get back to that. So vegetarians, they eat things like milk and eggs and cheese, and that's okay. And the reason that can be okay is because some of those animals, if you think about the fact that an animal that you take milk and cheese, and you take milk from to make the cheese, so milk and eggs and cheese and butter. Like whereas eggs are from the chickens that are taken before they are living, but they have cultures and enzymes. Well, usually those animals have to be treated somewhat nice and kept healthy in order for us to get the supply. You're not going to get milk from a dead cow, and if you treat it bad and don't feed it well, it won't produce. So in my own mind, the reason that I will eat cheese and milk and I really don't eat eggs, but I would eat eggs on once in a while. I eat cake and stuff that has eggs in it, only because those things do have living enzymes in them. They have organismal properties, but they don't have, you have to at least kept that thing healthy and alive in order to use it. The reason I try to limit it is because those things are also transported by people that deliver them, that have a job, that some people don't give a crap about their job, and they have milk open and broken in the back of their truck, spilled all over the stuff you have. They hate their job, and they send their energy out upon those things. But when you understand subtle energies, then you get to understanding cooking and veganism and things that you can still contaminate your food and taint your food with when you're a vegan. So vegetarianism has that whole thing, and the reason I stay away from milk and eggs, and that some people still eat those things when they're vegetarians but limit them, is because they are transported, and there's energies that come from the delivery, the handling, the containment, the storage, the manufacturing. All those things that go into it lose energy and life properties. They lose energy. Like things that are as natural as they can be, that come from the ground, that live at the temperatures we live at, fruits and vegetables that live at our temperature, stay in our body at our temperature. They live off the sun. We live off the sun. That's pretty simple and to understand, so this is how it goes. So now when you get the meat, we don't eat raw meat, and if you do eat raw meat, you usually still cook it on the outside. As soon as you start cooking it, it has enzymes and organismal things, and even with vegetables, when you cook them at 212 degrees to boil them, or 160 degrees to cook them and purify their bacteria is just living cultures, same thing as a vegan or a vegetarian would eat, not a vegan, a vegetarian would eat. But at this point, it's been from a living thing that you saw living, and it had emotion, and it moved around, and it walked and it talked, and it could feel pain like an animal. If you hit it, you can see it flinches. It's not like it's just a piece of rubber. So you should be mindful to all things. That's a simple put. That's all I'm going to say about that. I would not harm anything. So even when I talk about meat, it's only because I understand, because I've eaten meat. When you chew on meat, it's that primal, that instinctual nature. You feel like you're an animal. So when people are transporting, delivering, eating, cooking meat, it's that feeling of the pack. It's the feeling of why do you get together and watch football games that are testosterone competing with each other, and eat beer and brats and stuff like that. The beer is the fermented vegetables and fruits that are put at high temperatures are left to spoil for a long time, so their energies come out and are contained. And simply understood right there. When you cook something at a high temperature, it goes to a temperature that you and I cannot live at. So when you cook it and then put it in your body, like all meats almost, and a lot of vegetables, when you do this, you cook them, you kill what actually goes into your body, and it just gets wasted and you poop it out. So when you eat this, the stuff that you eat that actually helps you out is the cold stuff, the stuff that's at your body temperature. And I'm right about this. You can actually make new scientific studies if you want to. I'm not too worried about talking about science. I just know what I know because it's there. I wouldn't even say no because I'm not going to get into letters and stuff like that, but the word no, if you take the K, knowing doesn't mean anything, but I am wise to it, and that word has a W at the beginning. So how do you explain the stuff that just is? It just is. I am it. Like I'm it. Yeah, I understand it. I'm it. So, but I'm saying this stuff to help explain it because there's nothing wrong with meat eaters, vegetarians, and vegans. It's just that we're all at different levels of the evolutionary process, and the vegan people will, even though they seem to be simple and kind-hearted, and you can be a vegan and be rude to each other. Most people, a lot of them are, but the ones that don't harm animals that would still harm people don't make much sense. I mean, but the ones that are starting to be conscious of all life are starting to understand why you don't cook things at super high temperatures and why you don't eat too many enzymes and bacteria or any kind of things like that, because any active cultures or things like that, because they are transported. If you grow them yourself or you get them from a farmer, that's good. Unfortunately, the industries and food companies have kept you from doing that because they say it's unhealthy. The funny thing is it's actually more healthy for you. It's just you will get nature to you in a natural way. You won't have anything processed or manufactured and handed to you and told to you by the TV and the television companies and all those kind of things. Like, they've trained your mind so much that even the food you eat seems bad for you if you eat it, if it doesn't come from them. Think about it. When you ate it from nature, you lived. When you eat it from nature, you survived long enough. We've survived long enough by eating only off of nature to keep going. Cooking didn't really help us because the only way it helped us is because we ate meat and we died from the meat we ate without cooking it. Now we still eat meat, but we cook it to a point where it's dead and we just poop it out. Some of us can't poop it out and our bodies get bigger and we die of obesity or some kind of disease because that stuff that we cook can't digest itself because we've killed it. And if it's dead and it goes past the temperature that our bodies can't handle, it will store or you poop it out. Think about everything I'm saying. This is all truth. It all happens in the human body every single day, and it has been since the beginning of time. And people need to know this shit, because whether I am God or you don't understand that you're God and all things are God, it is true to me, and I know it to be. I believe it. I know it. It just is. I don't care about what word it is. Yes, I have faith in it. All that stuff. Like to say God and blessed and Jesus and holy and all this sacred stuff doesn't mean jack shit if you don't mean it. I can say it because I do mean it, but I can also say this stuff because it's important that people take it seriously. This is a sincere thing I'm saying. So I'm just here to help people understand where things really are without sugarcoating it, and I think it's beautiful. So that is what I just call today Coffee Talk.